What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic, Deontay Wilder's LDBC fanboys in deep denial after Wilder ducked third fight with Tyson Fury. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life for riches, huh? That life for riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glitzy, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans. We have a lot to chop up today. So let's get started. All right. So it looks like the fight with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is definitely off. I mean, that's what it seems like at this point. Multiple reports have came out saying that Tyson Fury is looking to, basically tired of waiting for Wilder to say if he's going to fight him in December. From what we're hearing, Wilder has been trying to get the fight to go sometime next year, or it basically, for what we're hearing, Wilder has been basically postponing the fight. Okay, and Tyson Fury, has came out and said many times, and that he wants to fight Deontay Wilder or in December, because the fight has been postponed twice before, or rescheduled twice, and so he didn't want to do any more rescheduling. He wants to get the fight over with and out of the way so he can move forward with the mega fight against Anthony Joshua in 2021. So based on, all these reports that we're hearing, it would seem that the fight is off. Okay, that the fight, the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trilogy is not going to happen this year, if ever. So this is where we're at right now with this fight. There's a lot to talk about in terms of that, these reports that's been coming out. Up until now, we haven't heard anything from Wilder's camp except for that one time that Shelly Finkel came out and said that the fight was going to be on for December 19th. Since then, and he said that there would be an update. Shelly Finkel said the fight would definitely be happening. And however, we haven't seen an update from Shelly Finkel yet, and we haven't heard anything from Deontay Wilder at all since he lost the fight actually. And he had came out with that one video saying that the king is here, the king is ready, the king will be vindicated, the king will rise like a phoenix. Ever since he made that video clip, we haven't heard from Wilder at all. We haven't seen Wilder promote the fight that was supposed to be coming up in December. I mean, we didn't see Wilder in social media out there promoting the fight. We saw Fury talking about the fight. On many occasions where he came out and talked about the fight, he was in the in the media talking up the fight. But we haven't heard anything from Deontay Wilder, which is kind of strange, because if you'd think that if there was going to be a fight in December, that Wilder would have been out promoting the fight. He would have been, making media appearances and actually promoting the fight. So it would seem that, based on Wilder's actions, there wasn't going to be in the fight, because we haven't seen Wilder coming out promoting the fight or even talking about the fight. How can you have a fight coming up in December, you're not even talking about it? I don't see any promotional from Wilder's people, top rank, nothing at all. From Shelly Finkel, his manager, all Shelly Finkel came out and said was that the fight is on and there will be updates, and that was that. So, when we look at what's been going on surrounding this fight for the past year, I think that we could say clearly that they wasn't going to be in the fight, because besides Tyson Fury out there pushing for the fight and talking about the fight, we didn't see anything else from Wilder's camp or anybody else. on his team, basically. So I guess it's not really surprising, that the fight didn't materialize. Okay. So now if what we are hearing is correct, okay, that the rematch clause expired. I mean, the question we have to ask is, how did that happen? How could Wilder's team and Wilder, because I'm not gonna, leave Wilder off the hook on this one, and say that it's his team's fault, because he is the man. Okay, he's the boss of his team. He's the principal, so he's the one that should be calling the shots. So we haven't heard anything from Wilder's camp or anything from Wilder himself. So what are we supposed to think? I mean, if Wilder really wanted this fight, I wanted to make this fight, why didn't he come out and say something about the fight and, talk up the fight and promote the fight and I just don't understand it. I mean, we have seen many build-up to fights in our time, but we have never seen anything like this, where the guy that's supposed to want the rematch, okay, is not saying anything, and the guy that's supposed to be avoiding the rematch, which is what the fanboys out there saying, that Fury wants to avoid this rematch, but he's the one on media. He's the one up there talking up the fight. He's the one saying he wants to fight in December. He's the one saying he wants to fight as soon as possible. But he's the one that's avoiding the fight. I don't get that. I mean, but in the world of LDBC fanboys, anything is possible. Okay, I mean, these guys, spin narratives like a spider spins the web. So the general consensus from the LDBC fanboys is that Wilder is trying to avoid the fight, or Wilder is ducking, or Wilder is a scumbag. Oh, excuse me. I mean, Fury is a scumbag. Fury is ducking. Fury don't want to fight. Fury is avoiding the fight. But Fury is the only person we see out in the media talking about the fight and saying that he wants to fight in December. He doesn't care if it's Deontay Wilder or whoever, but he wants to fight. On the other hand, we haven't heard a peep out of Deontay Wilder. Nothing at all, saying that he wants to fight, or when the fight is going to be, or when he's going to be ready, or even if he's going to fight again. So, I mean, based on, all of that, I mean, it would look like Deontay Wilder is probably, I mean, we have to ask the question, is Deontay Wilder, ever going to fight again? Much less talking about him fighting for the third time. I think we might ask the question, is Deontay Wilder considering retirement? I mean, I don't know, but it looks, things look a little bit shaky for Wilder at this point. Okay, and so if Wilder team and Wilder let this rematch clause expire, because if they let the rematch clause expire, then that's huge, and that speaks volumes. And that really let you know that Wilder didn't want this fight. Okay, now maybe there's some issue with Wilder and Wilder's team, because Wilder's team, with Shelly Finkel as manager, came out and said that while the fight is on, but we didn't hear that from Wilder. Okay, I mean, Shelly Finkel's not going to get in there and box. He can talk all he wants. Okay, he can say whatever you want to say. Shelly Finkel can tell us anything, but he's not the one that's going to get in there and fight. So we need to hear from Deontay Wilder if he actually wants to fight, and we haven't heard anything from Wilder. So, I mean, I think that basically, tells the whole story right there. I don't think Wilder wanted this fight. I'm not saying he might not want to fight at all, but maybe he didn't want to fight this early. Maybe, like I said in my previous videos, that Wilder is working on his game and is trying to build up himself, and he's not ready to face Fury again after such a brutal beatdown that he got in their last fight. Okay, and so maybe he's trying to prepare himself, improve his skills, which is what he should be doing. Okay, if he's gonna fight again, and then again, maybe he has decided that he's not gonna fight again. He's not gonna fight again, and he's gonna retire from boxing. Okay, so maybe Fury probably maybe Fury, that beating that Fury gave him, has sent him into retirement. I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't really blame Wilder if he retired. I mean, he's been fighting for a while, and he's got good money now, so he doesn't really need to go through all this, uh, hustle and bustle anymore. I mean, all this, being away from his family. But that's what he was talking about when he did come out and say something back in April. He said that he was at home enjoying life with his fiance and his children being catered to, and watching his children grow. And he also spoke about the cruelty and just the dirty business of boxing. Okay, and he also made mention to the fact that he was tired of being in training camp after training camp after training camp, and not spending any time enough time with his kids and his family. And so with all of that, and with the fact that his camp, as apparently, we don't, apparently, I'm saying apparently, so it seems so far, his camp has let this rematch clause expire. Deontay Wilder hasn't come out and said anything. So it would seem that, he doesn't really want this fight. And maybe Deontay Wilder has decided that he's going to retire from boxing. Or maybe he decided that, he's not going to come back right away. He's going to, maybe build himself up and come back maybe next year, early 2022. We don't really know, because like I said, Deontay Wilder has been silent. But the LDBC fanboys out there have been going full blast. Okay, making videos, calling Fury a scumbag, Fury is ducking, Fury is this, Fury is that. I mean, all kind of nonsense they've been out there talking. And at this point, not unlike the Gary Russell situation when they was out there doing the same thing with Gary Russell, it looks like Deontay Wilder left these guys out there in a limb, hanging, you know what I'm saying, and getting ready to fall off, fall off the cliff, because they have no standing. Everything, all this talk they're talking about Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder is not saying anything. Okay, he's not coming out and co-signing nothing that these guys are saying. Okay, but they're out there saying all this nonsense anyway. So, it's an interesting situation. Okay, but I mean, in terms of this contract rematch clause expiring, if that's the case, if it actually expired, I'm hearing that it's close to expiration, but all the reports that's coming out now is saying that this fight is off. The Wilder Fury rematch, the trilogy is off. It's not going to happen. And I haven't heard Wilder come out and said anything to the contrary. So at this point, it looks like this fight is definitely off, and that Tyson Fury has moved on and is now, setting the stage for the mega bout against the British heavyweight kingpin and unified champ, Anthony Joshua. So this is what's going on at this point, and this is what the reports are saying, and it seems like this is what's going to happen. So again, we haven't heard a word from Deontay Wilder, and you would think that there's no way that Wilder's team can say doesn't know or didn't know that if they didn't exercise the option to do the third fight, that it would expire, because we know that contract don't last forever, and typically a rematch clause is a year. Okay, and it's been almost that now. So if the clause has expired and Wilder's team let that happen, then that's gross negligence on their part, and that just shows to me that Deontay probably didn't want to fight. Okay, maybe his team wanted to fight and he doesn't want to fight. Okay, so we don't know, but that's the way it seems right now at this point. So all these guys can be out there spinning their narrative, and I'm sure they probably still are, because it's not like these LDBC guys are dealing with reality. because most of the stuff that they talk about and the narrative that they spin, just, you know, basically fantasy, really. I mean, you know, all this talk about, you know, Fury ducking the fight, and now we're hearing that apparently Deontay Wilder's camp has let this rematch clause expire, and so there will be no fight in December. So this is where it is right now. You know, but I mean, like I said, I don't think that's going to stop these guys out there from continuing to spin their crazy narratives about Tyson. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, these guys. I mean, here it is that Deontay Wilder's camp let this thing expire, the rematch clause. Deontay Wilder is silent as a lamb, but all these guys out there talking about Tyson Fury's afraid of Deontay Wilder. He's afraid of what will happen in their next fight. I mean, Deontay Wilder got knocked out by Tyson Fury in 7 rounds. He didn't even go the distance. It was a total, brutal beatdown in the full sense of the word. Okay? Camp had to throw in the towel to keep him from getting killed in the ring. Okay? And these guys are talking about Fury is afraid of Wilder. I mean, how far from reality can you be? I mean, oh, he's gonna do, you know, he's afraid that Wilder, that Fury, that Tyson Fury is afraid that Wilder could upset the apple cart and stop the mega fight between him and between AJ and Anthony Joshua and Fury. That's one, and then another one is out there talking about you know, another one of these guys out there talking about how, you know, Wilder, I mean, Fury's a scumbag and this and that he's ducking the fight, and that Wilder's going to take him to court. I mean, you know, just all kind of nonsense, okay? But like I said, we haven't heard anything from Wilder, but this is what the narrative that these guys are out there spinning. So, you know, I think that we can arrive at a few conclusions at this point, okay, in terms of, you know, what's going on with this supposed rematch. That's not going to happen, it seems. Then again, Wilder said nothing this whole time, and so we can safely conclude that Wilder didn't want this fight. He never came out and said he wanted to fight. He never came out and said that Fury can't duck him. You know, that Fury is ducking him. He never came out and said that, you know, he's ready and willing to go in December or even in February or even in May. Okay, we haven't heard anything from Wilder in terms of when he's actually ready for this fight. But his fanboys are out there spinning all kind of narrative about Tyson Fury ducking, when Tyson Fury is the only one out there pushing for the fight, promote the fight, and talking about the fight. And we get total silence from Wilder's camp, from Wilder's camp. I mean, it's crazy. You know, these guys out there spinning crazy talk, okay? And so, you know, I think that, you know, I mean, we don't really know, but at this point, it's doubtful whether or not Wilder is going to ever fight again, because in situations like this, we see a situation where a fighter who normally is very, you know, verbose and, you know, bomb squad and all of this, you know, full of energy and, you know, high, you know, motivated. We haven't seen none of that from Wilder since he got beaten he got beat up by Fury. I mean, basically, this is not a character for Wilder. And so, I mean, typically when you see this type of thing, you know, where a fighter after getting a beating, you know, has made radical changes in terms of his personality, in terms of, you know, how he carries himself and what he says and does. You know, typically Wilder would have been on social media. You know, we've seen him in the build up to the first fight, how he was carrying on, how he was out there promoting the fight and doing all the things, you know, necessary to make the fight happen. That was before the brutal beatdown. That was after the first fight. For the second fight, Wilder was out there promoting, talking up the fight, you know, making media appearances. And so we haven't seen that for this third fight from Wilder. Wilder hasn't said a word. So, I mean, I don't understand how people can think that Wilder wanted this fight when he's not saying anything, he's not promoting the fight. and he's not doing anything, you know, towards making the fight happen. And now apparently he has let the rematch clause expire. So I mean, you know, I mean, it's amazing, really, when we think about it. You know, that these guys, you know, the fanboys, the LGBT fanboys out there spinning these narratives with so little to work with. But you know, like I said, these guys don't really deal with reality. You know, they got their own thing going on over there. They call it what they're doing. They call it a brotherhood. Oh man, I mean, these guys are hilarious. I mean, it's crazy, but you know, that's what it is. And so, you know, they're out there making up all these fantastic stories, you know, and you know, spinning at at a mile a minute, and making excuses for Wilder, okay. And I think if you go out there now, you can probably hear them. You know, if you go check, like browse through the channel, you can hear them out there right now, continuing with their nonsensical narratives, you know, about Wilder, about Fury avoiding a fight with Wilder. I mean, it's just crazy talk. But again, I guess from their point of view, it's not really that crazy because you know they're making money doing that, and they got their fans. You know, I mean, the only people dumber than these, you know, than this narrative that these guys are spinning, is their fans that believe it and pay them to say it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's almost like it's a religion with these people. Okay, this narrative that these guys are spinning. That you actually got people out there paying them to spin these narratives, or paying them when they spin these narratives. Okay, I mean, it's you know, so I guess you can't really blame them if somebody's going to pay you to talk nonsense, then, you know, why not talk nonsense? Okay, you're getting paid. Okay, so maybe they're, you know, laughing all the way to the bank. Okay, you know, because I mean, when I listen to some of these narratives that these guys are spewing, and that's exactly what it is, they're spewing these narratives. When I listen to it, I mean, it is so dumb. I just can't find it. I just don't understand how any of their fans or their followers could actually believe in any of that crap. Okay, but apparently, you know, these fans are eating it up, and so, like I said, some of these fans, I mean, they're so dumb, you know, decavs, that you know they're paid to listen to this nonsense. I mean, but you know, what can we say? It's a free enterprise system, you know, capitalism at its best. And so it is what it is. Again, so so I guess we have to ask ourselves now. We already know what's going to happen with Fury. Okay, I mean, he's going to take a tune-up fight supposedly, and then the big fight between him and Joshua is going to come up in supposed to be 2 fights in 2021. If Joshua gets past Kubrat Pulev in his title fight, you know, I think Pulev is the mandatory. So you got to get past Pulev in order to get that mega fight with Tyson Fury. Now, out there in the background, we hear Alexander Usyk is supposed to be another mandatory for one of the belts that Anthony Joshua has. And so we are hearing talk that Joshua needs to fight him next before he fights Fury. And if that's the case, you know, if they can't work out a deal to where Anthony Joshua gets to fight Fury first, I'm hearing talk on, you know, there's talk out there that Joshua is possibly going to drop the belt. But then again, I don't know how that would work, because then if he fights Fury after he dropped the belt, it wouldn't be for undisputed. So I don't know how that's going to work, but I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll be able to pay Usyk a step aside money, because this is supposed to be a huge fight in England, and everybody in England wants to see the fight, to the point where, you know, Fury is getting ready to reestablish or reinstitute his license, you know, in England, so that this fight can go on. And you know, I'm pretty sure that the whole British establishment, sports establishment, is looking forward for this fight, because it's a history-making fight, and the biggest fight in the history of Britain, you know, of British boxing. So It is what it is. So I'm pretty sure nobody's going to want to stand in the way of a fight like that in Britain. Okay, whether it's whatever sanctioning bodies they have over there, or people that UCAD or whatever that might be, in terms of monitoring fighters and if fighters are clean or not. So I'm thinking that everybody over there is going to be in tune with this fight and want this fight to happen. So they're going to do everything in their power to give Fury the blind, so to speak, give Fury a blind so that he can go ahead and make this history-making fight with Anthony Joshua. Okay, so that's basically where Fury is headed, it looks like right now, to a mega fight. As for Deontay Wilder, we don't know what the future holds for Deontay Wilder. Like I said, it's possible that Deontay Wilder might decide to retire after that brutal beating he got from Tyson Fury, or maybe deciding that he's gonna go back to the drawing board and after a little time off, because like I said, he's been complaining, he's been in training camp after training camp. So maybe Deontay Wilder just wants some rest. You want to relax for a little while, take it easy, maybe for a year or so, 2 years, and then decide to come back later on. When he's got that fire in his belly again. Maybe the guy want to spend some time with his family and his kids and take it easy for a while, which I don't blame him for that. I mean, he deserved that. I mean, what I'm saying, he's been fighting all these years, and if he wants to take some rest at this point in time, he deserved it. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay, take some time off. Relax, get yourself together, and then come back again and put in the work, and get back out there and do what you need to do. If that's what you decide to do. If you decide to retire, then you decide to retire. So all these fanboys out there, LDBC or whatever, I mean, give the man some space and let him, do what he needs to do, because with all this talk and this narrative about Fury ducking and this and that, that's just putting pressure on Deontay Wilder, to come out there and say something, I guess. I mean, that would be nice. But maybe, he's getting his thoughts together and deciding, what his next move is going to be. Maybe he's already decided to retire and he's just waiting or trying to find a way to make the announcement, okay? And so we don't know. But if, that was to happen, that would be, a calamity for some of these LDBC fanboys, because I don't know what they're going to do without, or if they can't spin. But like I said, I don't think that's going to stop them from spinning their narrative anyway. They're going to continue to spin narrative, because the narrative is not really based on any facts in the first place. So facts don't really matter to these guys. So it wouldn't surprise me if they continue with their narrative even after we have seen what's going on in terms of this rematch clause, and there's nobody they can blame it on. They can't blame the rematch clause expiring on Fury. But believe me, they'll find a way to do just that. And they've been trying to do just that since the whole thing started. Since this fight has been getting postponed once or twice or 3 times or whatever it has been. So it wouldn't surprise me if they continue with the narrative, like I said, because they're getting paid to do that. And so it's not reality based and doesn't depend on any, real facts. So they can continue and spin narratives forever ad infinitum as far as they're concerned. And that's probably what they're going to do. Okay. But, people that really understand what's going on and know boxing and know, what boxing is all about, I think those people understand that, Tyson Fury probably, and or that Deontay Wilder is probably not ready to face Tyson Fury at this point after such a brutal beating. And I mean, we could listen to these fanboys and these YouTubers talk, but legendary boxing trainer Ronnie Shields, has came out and said that he doesn't think that Wilder can come back and win against Fury, because he believes that Fury has Deontay Wilder's number. Okay? And this is the legendary boxing trainer Ronnie Shields who's saying it. Okay, and so I think I would, rather listen to an expert like Ronnie Shields, who's actually been in there training champions for years, than listen to these LDBC fanboys out there talking foolishness. Okay, and so you know, Ronnie is keeping it 100. Mr. Shields is keeping it 100, and he's telling it like it is. I mean, he told us to want, you know, I mean, he was on Ronnie Shields. He was on Blue Blood Sports TV, you know, doing an interview when he said that. Okay, that, you know, Blue Blood Sports asked him, you know, what do you think about this Deontay Wilder situation? And, you know, and he told him, you know, I don't think, Ronnie Shields told him straight up, I don't think, you know, Fury can, you know, Wilder can come back. I think that Fury have his number. He only has a one punch, and, you know, Fury can see that coming all day, and he thinks that, you know, Fury has Wilder's number. And even after that, now that's an expert, Ronnie Shields. You did an interview with the guy. He comes on your channel and he's telling you this. You ask him and he tells you. And then the next day, or the same day, you go out and make another video saying that, you know, Tyson Fury is avoiding Deontay Wilder. After the expert, the legend, Ronnie Shields just told you that Fury has Deontay Wilder's number. He does not believe that Wilder can come back and fight and beat Fury. You still go out there and make a video about Tyson Fury is avoiding Wilder because he's afraid that what Wilder can do. I mean, what the? These guys are out of their effing minds, man. I mean, it's crazy. But, you know, then again, like I said, they might be crazy as a fox, okay? Because every time, the dumber their narrative gets, the more money they make. Maybe they're geniuses at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So maybe these guys are really geniuses, you know, at making money, you know, because they're definitely making money off of these narratives, okay? And, you know, with their, you know, super chat and, you know, so all of this, the fans are, I mean, the dumber the narrative gets, the more money the fans donate to them. So, like I said, it's almost like it's a religion to some of these fans, you know, some of these followers of these guys out there. So it is what it is, man. You know, I can tell you that only in America, man. America is great. I mean, you know, when it comes to making money, you can make money from anything in America. And so ain't nothing wrong with that, I guess. You know, more power to them. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and make your money, guys. But, you know, we all know that the narrative you're spinning is nonsense, and, you know, only your fans will believe in that crap. Okay, because it's not based on any reality. So it is what it is. So will we hear from Deontay Wilder anytime soon? Based on what we've heard so far, it would seem not. I mean, even after this, you know, the reports are basically now confirming that the fight is off, we still haven't heard anything from Wilder. You know, we haven't heard anything from the King. So but the King said in his video that he will redeem himself and that he will rise again like the Phoenix. So, you know, maybe that's next year in 2022, he's going to rise again. So we don't know. We'll see what happens, you know, with that. But at this point, I think it's safe to say that Wilder, you know, and, you know, without any fear of contradiction, that Wilder did not want this fight, made no effort to come out and say he wanted to fight, hasn't spoken a word about the fight, and it is what it is. Now that the fight has expired, the contract has expired, the rematch clause has expired, we, you know, what other conclusion can we arrive at? I mean, it's only logical, okay? He didn't want to fight, okay? Regardless of what his fans out there and these LDBC people out there talking about, you know, whatever. Regardless of whatever narrative they're out there spinning, you know, it's apparent at this point, based on what has happened so far, okay, that Deontay Wilder didn't want this fight, okay? So it is what it is, man, and, you know, people just gotta accept it, okay? So it looks like the championship is now in Europe, and we don't know when it's gonna come back in America, if it's gonna come back to America anytime soon, because once this fight is made between AJ and, you know, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury for the undisputed, then that title, you know, is going to be in England, supposedly, unless Pulev, you know, stops Joshua in their fight, and then him, Pulev, and Fury will fight for the undisputed. So we don't know how that's going to play out, but whichever way it plays out, that title is going to be in Europe for the foreseeable future. Okay, and so, you know, it looks like the British, you know, have the biggest prize in boxing at this point, and that they might be holding on to it for quite some time. Because I don't really see anybody on the horizon. Okay, maybe I'm just ignorant, but I haven't seen anybody on the horizon that's going to go out there and, you know, American I'm talking about, that's going to go out there and take the title away from either Fury or Joshua if they're the one that's holding it. Okay, and you know, if anything, a lot of the heavyweights that's coming up right now, they are British. You know, Daniel the Boy, and you know, but I mean, you got the other guy there from that fought Deontay, that fought Chris Parker. He's out there as well. You got I mean, there's a couple of guys out there, but none of these guys are American. Okay, so it looks like the heavyweight title is the British title at this point, and it will be that way for the foreseeable future. And if not British, it will be European. You know, so it is what it is. I mean, Wilder, I don't know. We heard that Wilder fired his manager, his trainer, Mark Breland, and he was supposed to be getting trained by Malik Scott, you know, something to that effect. But like I said, we haven't really seen anything about, nothing has come out about Wilder training for this fight. We haven't seen any training videos. Okay, we have seen plenty of training videos from Fury. We haven't heard Wilder come out and say anything. He isn't talking about the fight. And so if a fight was coming up in December, like Shelley Finkel claimed, shouldn't Wilder be out there promoting the fight? Shouldn't he be out there making media appearances? Shouldn't he be out there talking about how he's going to knock out Fury in the next fight? But we're not seeing none of that. So I don't understand how these people can believe that there's going to be a fight. Okay, so I mean, with all that, you know, all that is just pointing to the fact that there's not going to be any fight. And so the fact that, you know, this rematch clause has apparently expired, and I do say apparently because we're not, you know, 100% sure at this point. But if that's the case, then everything that's been leading up to this fight not happening, that's just the final nail in the coffin. Okay, because there's a bit, like I said, there's been a lot of signs that this fight never was going to happen if you were looking, you know, with open eyes. Because, like I said, nobody heard from Wilder. He didn't come out and promote the fight. He hasn't made not even one appearance to talk about the fight in any media outlet whatsoever. And the only people we're hearing from is these LDBC fanboys, who, as you can see, don't have any idea what they're talking about. Okay, and so it is what it is. So again, it looks like Wilder, you know, has basically got the third fight with Tyson Fury. Okay, and you know, it's a duck by omission. Okay, basically, you know, he just, you know, it's like a passive aggressive duck. He just basically, you know, didn't say anything, didn't talk, didn't do anything, and just let things play out and let the contract, let the rematch clause expire, you know, without actually saying that he didn't want to fight. Okay, and so by doing that, you know, people out there, you know, because I mean, I guess Tyson Fury, you know, got kind of frustrated with all the fact that, you know, I mean, if your eyes were open, you could see this thing, you know, from the, you know, was coming from the very start. Okay, because like I said, we saw Tyson Fury out there talking up the fight, talking. Now I'm pretty sure Tyson Fury, you know, and his camp, I mean, they've been in boxing for years. They know how boxing goes. So if you have a fight with someone, okay, and this fight's supposed to be coming, and the guy that you're supposed to be fighting is not out there, he's not talking to you, he's not talking to anybody, he's not promoting the fight that you guys are supposed to be in. You're the only one out there promoting the fight, okay? You're not hearing from this guy. You reach out to him, you're not hearing from him. He's silent, okay? I mean, I think they more or less figured it out by, you know, that Tyson, that Wilder didn't want to fight. I mean, it would be much, I mean, I'm sure it was pretty apparent to them because they're much closer to the situation than I am or anybody else. You know, it's a business that they've conducted with Wilder's people. So I'm pretty sure they realized, that, you know, early on that this fight wasn't going to happen. Okay, because Wilder didn't want to fight. Okay, and, you know, that's how it ended up playing out. You know, Wilder has been silent and it continued to be silent. Okay. And after Shelly Finger came out and said the fight was on December, we haven't seen anything, heard any update about the fight since then. Okay. And I mean, you think that a fight that's coming in December will be getting heavily promoted at this point, but it's not. And so now the reports out there saying that the fight is off, and it looks like that's exactly what it is. The fight is off. Okay. And you know, but it's interesting, you know, to see what's going to happen from here on in terms of Wilder. Okay. I mean, you know, what is he going to come out and say after this? Okay. It's definitely going to be interesting, and I'm waiting to hear. You know, maybe he might just come out and make a retirement speech, and that'll be that. Okay. But I'm sure a lot of his fans are going to be bitterly disappointed. You know, if he was to come out and say that, you know, he's going to retire or anything to that effect. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, I mean, Wilder, like I said previously, I mean, I'm not all down on Wilder because, like I said, more than one occasion, if Wilder was to really improve his boxing skills, and I'm really hoping this is what Wilder decided to do, and that's why he's not going to make the fight. Okay, maybe he decided that he's gonna go and, you know, work on himself and bring himself up and you know, and work on his skills. Maybe that's what he decided to do, and he's not saying that. But I'm hoping that's what it is. Okay, because I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. If Wilder was to improve his boxing technique, nobody in the heavyweight division will be able to touch it. Okay, this is clear. Okay, because his power is phenomenal. Okay, he has phenomenal power, but that power needs to be directed. It needs to be, you know, finessed. It needs to be sharpened. You know, it needs to be directed. Okay, and you know, if we saw Wilder out there, you know, actually boxing, put together punches, using technique, he would be unbeatable, you know, because he could take you out with either hand, you know, especially the right hand, you know. So if he was able to put his punches together like he was supposed to, you know, instead of making these wild swing to the fences attempts at headhunting, you know, I mean, you know, just headhunting after headhunting shots, if you were to stop all that and actually, you know, get down to the basics, you know, jab, combination, hook, you know, movement, okay, all of that it takes to be a good boxer, he would be unbeatable at heavyweight. Nobody would be able to touch him, not even Fury. But, you know, that type of improvement takes a while, especially at the level where I see Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder is currently in terms of his boxing skill. He's like an amateur, really. In terms of boxing technique, I mean, he's not an amateur when it comes to power, in terms of power, but, you know, power only works if the punch can actually land. Okay, if the punch don't land, the power is useless. And we saw what happened in both fights. Okay, when the power did land, Fury went down. Okay, like a log. Okay, so but the problem is that, again, you know, you have to be consistent in terms of landing those shots. And, you know, Wilder was, you know, he landed the one or two shots, or, you know, but he wasn't able to put his punches together and to continue to land shots. Okay. And so, you know, we saw the result of that. And then in the second fight, we saw how Tyson Fury came in there and, you know, backed Wilder up, walked him down, and basically put on a boxing clinic and, you know, basically beat him down. Okay, dismantled him, basically from a boxing standpoint. And, you know, I'm not sure what the effect of that is or has been on Wilder from a mental and emotional standpoint. But based on the fact that we haven't heard anything from him, he's been silent this whole time. It will seem that the events of the last fight had a profound effect on Wilder, whether for the good or for the bad, we don't know. Okay, because we haven't heard from him, but it definitely had a profound effect on him. That's without a doubt. So only time will tell, you know, which side, you know, it's going to land on in terms of whether it was a good effect or a bad effect. But, you know, so we'll see eventually, you know, because he can't stay silent forever. Okay, so you're going to have to come out and say something sooner or later. So we'll see what happens, you know. But, you know, we could speculate all day, but at this point, we don't know what effect it has on him. But like I said, based on, you know, fights that we've seen before and events like this that we've seen before, when this type of thing happens, it would seem that, you know, when a fighter is just so completely changed, or, you know, in terms of his personality and in terms of his activities after a fight, a brutal fight like this, that like what happened in Wilder Fury 2, then usually it's not really for the good. But it could be for the good. You never know. It could be something that make Wilder, you know, make Wilder decide that, hey, I really do need to improve my skill. I really do need to, you know, take this thing seriously. I really do need to train, you know, actually run instead of talking about sprinting and all this other stuff and not jogging and, you know, not developing, you know, talking about all you need is power and all of this nonsense. Because, you know, you don't need, all you need is not power. Power has to land for it to be effective. When it doesn't land, it's useless. And so we saw that. And so maybe all of this, you know, is going to make Wilder a better fighter. Because there's only two ways, you know, only two things can happen in a situation like this. When you face adversity like what Wilder is facing, what Wilder faced in that second fight, there's only two things you can do. You can either get back up and get back on that horse and just keep riding, or you can decide that, you know what, I'm not going to ride horses anymore. I'm done. Okay, I won't ride horses anymore. You know, so that's the only thing that could happen. I mean, you know, so we're going to see if Wilder is going to get back on the horse, or if he's going to retire, you know, from horse riding, you know, so to speak. So, you know, but again, like I said, it should be interesting, you know, when he does come out and say something. I'm, you know, more than looking forward to the fight. I'm waiting to see what Wilder's going to say after this latest situation with the rematch clause apparently, for all intents and purposes, expired. Okay, and you know, I'm waiting to see what his camp is going to say about this. So we don't know, but we definitely have to hear something. Something's going to have to be said sooner or later. Okay, and you know, because if he doesn't come out and say something, it'll be a disservice to his fans and followers out there who have been riding with him. You know, especially the LDBC. You know, because they ride. I mean, you know, for bad or for worse, you know, they're loyal to Wilder, and they've been riding with him all this time. And so I you know, it'd be bad if Wilder didn't, you know, come out and say something to kind of cheer them up, you know, and give them something else to hang on to. You know what I mean? So we don't know, but you know, we'll see. You know, it's gonna time will tell. You know how it's all gonna play out. But at this point, it looks like Fury is moving on to bigger and better things. Okay, a big, huge, you know, history-making fight with Anthony Joshua, the unified champ. You know, at heavyweight, and that fight is supposed to be going to be in England. Now, I've heard some people out there talking about, oh, the fight is not going to be a big fight, and some even say, oh, I'm not going to watch the fight. Okay, I'm not going to watch it, you know, because they still, you know, sour about the fact that Fury dismantled Wilder in their last fight. And so the fact that they're blaming Fury because Deontay Wilder don't want to fight him. So they're trying to put that on Fury and say Fury don't want to fight Deontay Wilder, when nothing could be further from the truth, as we have seen up until this point. Okay, but you know, like I said, these guys don't have any rhyme or reason for the shit that they talk. They just out there spinning narrative for super chat and like button money, and it is what it is, you know. But you know, I mean, the talk is that, you know, and I gotta revisit this because I said something about it in my last video, but I'm gonna revisit it again and talk about, you know, they're saying that this is the narrative again, that, you know, all of a sudden boxing is now some type of social service. Okay, you know, it's a you know, I don't know what to they all of a sudden these guys are social service workers, mental health workers, charity. They're turning boxing into a charity event all of a sudden, because they're talking about the fact that, when Fury didn't have anything, and nobody wanted him, and he was just out there, Deontay Wilder gave him a chance. Deontay Wilder gave Fury a chance. What are these guys talking about? What are they really talking about? So you're trying to tell me that Deontay Wilder was at home and he saw that Tyson Fury wasn't getting, was fat, out of shape, drinking, jogging, and then he decided that, what? Because I'm such a nice guy and, it looked like Tyson Fury needs some help, I'm going to offer him a fight because that's just how nice of a guy I am, because I'm just a nice guy. Is that what boxing has become? I mean, these guys are out of their minds. I mean, Deontay Wilder didn't offer Tyson Fury a fight out of the goodness of his heart. It's a cold, hard business decision that they made, okay? And it was a smart decision that they made, very smart. Okay, that was a smart move by Wilder's camp to make the Tyson Fury fight. They didn't make the fight out of the goodness of their heart, or because they felt sorry for Wilder, or because they was trying to be nice. They saw the fight as a means of raising the profile of Deontay Wilder, put him in the in the talk for the fight with Anthony Joshua, and they thought that basically, if we want to be real about it, they thought that Tyson Fury was a low-hanging fruit, because I'm hearing the guy like 400 pounds, okay, almost 400 pounds, hadn't fought in almost 3 years, except for these 2 fights he had with these 2 tomato cans and cab drivers, and they thought to themselves, hey, you know what? This Tyson Fury got a little name behind him, and he's big in England, where we want that fight with Joshua sometime, and maybe if we fight Fury, then we can get some more fans, and we can raise our profile, and then set up ourselves for a big fight against Anthony Joshua. And that was a smart move, because that's exactly, that fight definitely raised his profile, raised Deontay Wilder's profile, but, and made him a more known, not just in America, but in England. He even travels to England, and he was over there, and, how the fans are in England. They are, they're dedicated fans, and so they embrace Wilder over there, okay, because they're boxing fans at the end of the day, okay, and they love boxing, so they end up embracing Wilder. He gained a lot of fans, his profile was raised. Now he was in the, they were talking about Wilder as one of the top heavyweights in the world, among the elite, and so that fight with Fury did something for both of them, okay. Fury was out of boxing for a while, so now a fight with Deontay Wilder, even though he wasn't ready, I didn't think he was ready at the time, because he's still out of shape. He was still fat. He had just fought 2 tomato cans, so he wasn't really supposed to go in there and do anything against Deontay Wilder. He was supposed to go in there and lose, okay, because he was only a shell of himself. He was nowhere near ready. He wasn't supposed to be anywhere near ready for that fight with Deontay Wilder, who was the bronze bomber, the knockout artist. 35 fights, 34 knockouts. So Deontay Wilder's camp fully expected that Deontay Wilder was going to knock out Fury and just make his name off of Fury, okay? They set up a rematch and everything, okay, because they expected to win, okay? And that, it not only would be 1 fight, but it'd be 2 fights, maybe even 3 fights, okay? So that's what was expected. They didn't expect, they didn't go in there to fight Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder didn't go into the fight Fury out of the goodness of his heart, as these guys. Oh, Deontay Wilder, nice guy. He's a nice guy. I'm sure Deontay Wilder is a nice guy, but business, boxing, the boxing business is not it's not about being a nice guy. Okay, that's not what it's about. It's never been about that. Okay, boxing is a brutal sport. Okay, and it's a dog eat dog business, and everybody that's been following boxing for years knows that. So all this talk about social service Wilder, going out of his way to make to give Tyson Fury a chance when nobody would give him a chance is just pure bullshit. Okay, like I said, They thought that it was a low-hanging fruit. They was going to put that scalp on their belt and keep it moving. Okay, but unfortunately for them, that did not happen. A Fury at like 50% of himself was able to eke out a draw, and some will say beat Wilder in their first fight, and then repeated it and did it more emphatically in their second fight by stopping Wilder. Okay, and that's what happened. You know, so all this crap that these guys out there talking, these LDBC guys out there talking about Wilder, you know, Fury's a scumbag because he doesn't want to fight Wilder for the third time. And another one out there talking about, oh, Wilder knows that Fury knows that what Wilder is going to do to him the third time. I mean, what are these guys talking about? What is he going to do? What is Wilder going to do to Fury that he couldn't do the third time, that he couldn't do it? He couldn't do it in the first two times. Okay, what? You know, so you know, I mean, it's amazing. So here is this guy. Oh, this must be one of these LDBC followers, or you know, one of these blue blood sports or fan and boxers. What is Zombie Clown? He's on my chat now talking about one viewer watching this stream. Fury is a fake mental health ducker. Well, you know, not one, two now, because there's another guy and you are on it now, so that's two people watching. So you're saying that Fury is a fake mental health ducker. I mean, what do you base that on? How is he ducking Wilder when Wilder's people didn't renew the rematch clause? Okay, you're not LDBC, but answer the question. How is Fury ducking Wilder when Wilder people didn't, you know, enforce the rematch? How does that make Fury a ducker? Hey, Zombie Clown, are you going to answer the question or not? I want to know, how is Fury a ducker because Wilder's people did not activate the rematch clause? I'll answer the question, my man. Tell me, how is he a ducker? Back up what you're saying. Okay, so you're not going to say anything? Okay, just like I thought. Okay, so there it is. So this is the kind of, you know, this is the kind of crap that we hear these guys out there, these LDBC fanboys and their fans and their followers are talking about. Fury is ducking Wilder. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. Okay, have any of you guys seen Fury? Have any of you people out there seen Deontay Wilder out there promote this fight that was supposed to happen in December? Have anybody seen it, or in February that this fight was supposed to happen? Did Fury come out and promote the fight? I mean, did Wilder come out and promote the fight? Have you seen Wilder talking up the fight? Have you seen Wilder saying that he wants to fight? I mean, it's ridiculous what you guys are talking about. Okay? I mean, it's crazy talk. Fury is the only guy I've seen out there promote this fight. Wilder has been incommunicado, silent as a lamb, hasn't been saying nothing, hasn't done one thing to promote this fight that's supposed to be happening in December, but you're saying that Fury is ducking. What the hell are you guys talking about? What are you on? Now, Zombie, Mr. Jones, oh, he's a bot, just block him. I don't really block anybody. Let him talk, or whether they're bots or not. It doesn't really make any sense. What, block them for what? They're just talking foolishness. I mean, you know, they can talk. It's a free country. Okay, so let them talk their foolishness. But, you know, it just shows you, that, you know, well, okay, Zombie Clown, if Wilder activate the rematch and actually going through with the fight is two different things. Okay? So you can activate a rematch and still don't want to fight. It doesn't really mean that you want to fight because you activate a rematch. Where is Wilder? We haven't seen him out there promote. If he activated a rematch, why didn't he come out and promote the fight? So, I mean, you can see that they wasn't going to be in the fight because you didn't see Deontay Wilder out there promote anything. He didn't say anything about the fight whatsoever, and he's still not out there talking about any fight. He hasn't come out and said one word about the fight. So what the hell are you guys talking about? You know, I mean, it's crazy, man. These guys are out of their minds, and you know, it just goes to show you, you know, how some people just can't face reality. Okay. at the end of the day. Can't face, can't face reality at the end of the day. Yeah, Mr. Jones, Wilder quiet like a church mouse and firing Mark Breland was yeah, I mean, Mark Breland basically saved his life and Wilder fired Breland, made him a scapegoat. Okay, basically. I mean, I don't really know what happened between them. Maybe it's more to it than what we know, as fans and, as people that watch boxing. Maybe there's more to the firing than we know. Maybe it's something that was brewing for a long time. We don't know. Okay. But like I said previously, if he fired Mark Breland because he wanted a different person that could take him to a different level, then I can understand that. But if he fired Mark Breland because Mark Breland threw in the towel, then that's wrong. I mean, he shouldn't fire him for that because he saved his life, so he can live to fight another day if he decides to do that. Okay, so but from what I'm hearing, he's got this guy Mark Scott training him now. That's was already in his camp, so I don't see how that's going to be improvement over a seasoned trainer like Mark Breland, who's been around for so many years. So if he had fired Mark Breland, and then we heard that he was being trained by somebody from Kronk or another trainer, Ronnie Shields or any Foreman or Mayweather or something like that, then we'll say, oh yeah, okay, fire Mark Breland and move forward because you need to improve your skills, you need to improve your technique, okay, and go ahead and do that. That's your right to do that, but we haven't heard none of that. So him firing Mark Breland just seemed like it's just another way to make somebody as a scapegoat, for him losing the fight. Okay. Oh, say. Okay, so at the end of the day, I don't know how these guys are gonna be able to spin this now. That apparently, like I said, this rematch has expired due to the lack of due to Deontay Wilder's camp, negligence and not letting this happen. But then again, it could be, like I said, it could be that Deontay Wilder's camp, like his Shelly Finkel and all that. Maybe they want to fight and Deontay Wilder don't want to fight. Okay, maybe it's just that simple. Okay, and so we don't really know what's going on because, like I said, we haven't heard nothing from Wilder. And so all we are hearing is from these LDBC fanboys out there spinning crazy, nonsensical narratives about Wilder, and about Fury ducking Wilder, which is, patently ridiculous on his face, okay? And, only a fool would believe anything like that based on the evidence that we have seen so far. Do you think that this zombie clown, do you think that this was Fury's easiest fight? Yes, the second fight, not the first one. I think the second fight, that was, the knockout there, that was the easiest fight, I think. I mean, he basically dismantled Wilder, okay? I mean, it was easy work, okay? And if Mark Breland didn't throw that towel in, that would have been the end of Deontay Wilder. Fury would have retired him then and there. That's what I think. Okay, rapid, what the hell is this? Why, if it was so easy, why did he rabbit punch and use grappling? Man, I tell you one thing though, a lot of these fans of Wilder and some of these LDBC guys are, are dumb as a rock. And I'm not saying you're a dumb zombie clown, but I mean, they make some dumb statements, and but one thing I have to say about them, okay, they're very entertaining. I mean, I laugh the whole time when I listen to these guys. I mean, it's so hilarious, man, that I love it. I mean, it's very entertaining to me. I listen to these guys and I laugh. It makes me laugh the whole time. I'm practically laughing the whole show sometimes. It's hilarious what these guys are saying, and some of these fans, what the fans say. They just chime in like robots, to whatever the person on the channel is saying. So I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, it's definitely entertaining. I mean, I find it very funny, so I enjoy it thoroughly. I mean, Zombie Clown said he counted nearly 30 rabbit punches. Well, I mean, I don't know. Instead of counting the rabbit punches, you should have been counting the punches landing on Tyson on Wilder's jaw, because that's what got him out there, not rabbit punches. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, rabbit punches. I mean, boxing, there's a lot of stuff going on in boxing. People throw, people sometimes, hit low. Sometimes they hit, rabbit punches. Sometimes they hit the back of the head, depending on the emotion in the fight and what's going on and the intensity. So a lot of things could happen in a fight, okay? So, I'm not sure, what you're talking about, grappling tactics, like as if this was the UFC. It's not the UFC, this is boxing. So I don't know what grappling tactics you're talking about. Fighters do lean on each other, they do hold, okay? We see that all the time. So there's nothing strange about holding or grabbing a fighter or leaning your weight on him. These are all tactics in boxing. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Mr. Jones said Fury is going to school AJ. Joshua is too robotic. Okay, that's an interesting comment. I want to comment on that comment. Okay, that's an interesting assessment about AJ and that Anthony Joshua is too robotic. And to a certain degree, I would agree with that. Maybe a year or two ago, because I actually did a video about that, okay, about how robotic not just AJ but also Klitschko was, okay. I call it Robot Wars or something like that, I think. Okay, so yeah, I kind of agree with that to a certain degree. I think that Anthony Joshua is somewhat he was a bit robotic in his movements when he was fighting previously, but I think he changed that in the fight against Ruiz. I think we saw a different Wilder, and I think that, a different AJ, and I think that if he continued to fight the same way he fought Ruiz, then I think we can discount what you're talking about in terms of being robotic, because I think that in the last fight against Ruiz, Anthony Joshua showed that he could actually box, and he was pretty fluid in that fight. And I think that if he continued in that vein and is continuing in that vein, then I think that that's a big improvement. And we're gonna find out in the Pulev fight, okay, where he is, if that's actually a new style that he's using now, that he's employing, or if it was just a tactical style that he employed for that particular fight, as opposed to a strategic tactic or strategic move in terms of his style. So we're gonna find out in the Pulev fight where Joshua is in terms of how he's actually fighting. If he, so we'll see. But I do agree with you that at one point, Anthony Joshua was kind of robotic, and he had all these big muscles, and I'm like, wait, what's up with this guy? I mean, why does he have all these muscles like he's some kind of bodybuilder? You don't need those muscles for boxing. A guy with a perfect boxing physique is somebody like Deontay Wilder. Okay, I think Deontay Wilder got a perfect physique for boxing. Loose muscles. At least before the second fight with Fury, it seemed he have gotten a little bit more muscular after the first fight with Fury, and he came in with more muscles. But before that, the Deontay Wilder that we knew, didn't have a lot of muscles, and he still had that power. So I think that as a boxer, all his muscles is working to your detriment, because that muscles need a lot of oxygen. They need it takes and plus it makes you tight, and it also make you susceptible to injuries, because when you swing, you're not as loose and fluid as you're supposed to be, and that's probably why Deontay Wilder hurt his biceps, because of that, because he muscled up himself. He bulked up after the first fight and came in there heavier and more muscular, and so maybe that's not. And how Wilder fight, making wild punches and throwing all these crazy punches. So you can't do all that when you can't really do all that when you have these big tight muscles that's holding you back and, you know, making you tight and not loose and fluid. So that's probably why he injured his bicep, if he actually did injure his bicep. We don't really know. But yeah, you know, like I said, I agree with you about that robotic way that Joshua used to fight. Fury is good on the inside and the outside. Style makes fight. Well, I'm going to say something about the Fury Joshua fight right now. And I'm going to, you know, I don't think there's any doubt. Okay. I mean, I like Joshua. Okay. And I like Fury too. I like them both. And I actually like Deontay Wilder as well. But like I say, he needs to improve his skills. But in terms of Fury and AJ, I'm thinking that without a doubt, Fury is the better boxer. I don't think there's any dispute about that. Okay. You know, and not only is he the better boxer, he's been boxing that way his whole career. So it's just natural for him. I mean, look at the way the guy fight. I mean, you know, just look at him. I mean, we look at the little clips of him right there, and you know, he fights like and moves like a welterweight. I mean, you know, he's very fluid in his movement. I mean, he's a big doofy looking guy, really, but he doesn't fight like a doofy guy. He fights like a dancer. You know, okay? He's very look at that movie he just made. I mean, he's very fluid. You know, look at that. There you go again, making that little turn and giving the guy angles. He's very good at that. I mean, he's a very good boxer. I mean, I don't think, and it comes naturally, it looks like, you know, after all these years of training. So I don't think that, you know, I don't know if Joshua could you know, pull off that kind of boxing, you know, show those type of boxing techniques, because like I said, he did good against Rue the second time, and he showed promise in terms of being able to box, you know, and actually, you know, do real boxing, you know, pure boxing. But we don't know if he's going to continue that, or if that was just a tactical move, or if it's a strategic move. Okay, but we're going to find out after the Pulev fight. But you know, just on the surface of things, I would say that from a pure boxing standpoint, that Fury is definitely the better boxer. But Joshua is not just a boxer; he's a boxer puncher. Okay, he definitely has more pop in his punches than Fury, I think. But we don't know, because the Fury that we saw against Joshua, I mean against Wilder, was, you know, had knockout power. So we don't know, but I would go on the record to say that I think that Fury is the more natural boxer than Anthony Joshua, and that, you know, me personally, I tend to usually go for the boxer as opposed to the puncher or the boxer puncher, and so I think that you know, Anthony Joshua is going to have his hands full with this fight against Fury. Okay, but he does have a puncher's chance, and not more than, actually he has more than a puncher's chance, because he, you know, he can box himself. Even when he was just a boxer puncher. He's not a bad boxer. I mean, you know, he got some skills. He got punches. He got left hook. He got the right hand. Okay, and I think if he touches Fury, that Fury is gonna feel it. But that's gonna be the problem, touching Fury, because as you can see, Fury's defense is excellent. You know, very good defense. Okay. Actually, I would have to say he's a defensive wizard to a certain degree. I mean, you know, for a big guy like that, the way he moves, the way he defends, the way he fights going backward, fights coming forward, give you angles. Okay, I mean, the man is a great boxer. I mean, you can't take it away from him, no matter what. Okay, and you know, I don't know who's gonna win the fight between him and Anthony Joshua. But if I were to force to make a pick, I would probably lean towards Fury, without actually counting Joshua out. You know, so that's what I think about that. So excuse me. So yeah, so I mean, we could you know, we could chop up this thing with Fury and AJ now, because I think we can. It's pretty clear that, you know, Wilder is in the rearview mirror at this point. And the talk of boxing for the next year is going to be Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. If they both get past their respective fights that they're going to have before the actual showdown, you know, in 2021 between the two of them. So again, it should be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully it actually happens. You know, hopefully Joshua gets past Pulev and Fury gets past whoever he's fighting next, and we get to see that big fight in 2021, because that's going to be a huge fight. Okay. You know, I'm really hyped to see what Fury, I mean, what Anthony Joshua is going to look like against Pulev. Okay, in terms of his boxing technique, what technique he's going to use. Okay, if it's the Ruiz, if he's going to fight like he fought against Ruiz, and I'm thinking that's probably how he's going to do it. And you know, it should be very interesting to see that fight. You know, it's going to be a great fight. Okay, big fight. I mean, it's going to be a lot of promotion for that fight, a lot of talk. Okay, it's probably going to be a record-setting gate for that fight, as well as, you know, you know, the build-up is going to be fantastic, I believe. Okay, but you know, in England, the fans in England are rabid fans, man. Okay, they're real boxing fans, and you know, the build-up is going to be great for this fight. And you know, you know, especially if you know, Anthony Joshua comes in there and shows us this new boxing style and end up knocking out Pulev, it's going to be a great fight between him and Joshua. I mean, between Joshua and Fury, okay, for 2021. I'm definitely looking forward to it. As for Deontay Wilder, like I said, basically it looks like he's in the rearview mirror at this point. And, you know, he's going to retire, or he's going to go back to the drawing board and rebuild himself and come back even stronger, which I'm hoping that's exactly what he does. Because I would love to see if he actually made adjustments and how he's going to fight now against Fury in their third fight. It should be interesting for the fight to happen. And so, you know, I'm thinking that if Tyson Fury goes in there, beats Joshua in those fights, and then a rematch with him and Deontay Wilder should be huge. That is, you know, if Wilder goes out there and, you know, take one or two fights first and, you know, build himself back up, you know, to where he was previously, okay? So it should be interesting, you know, how it plays out in the next year or two in the heavyweight division, because we don't know what's going to happen at this point. You know, who's going to be at the top of the heap at the end of 2021, whether it's going to be Fury, Joshua, Pulev, or Usyk, because you know Usyk is a wild horse in this thing. I think that about the only guy out there, I think that Usyk has the boxing skills. I think that could give you know, besides Joshua, that can give Wilder, that can give Fury a run for his money. Okay. I think that a boxing match between Fury and Wilder will be very interesting to watch. Okay, because you have a good big guy with great boxing skill against a good little guy with great boxing skill. So that would be a real interesting fight if that was to happen. Okay. You know, I would love to see that fight, by the way. So we don't know what's going to happen with that, because, like I said, Usyk is a wild card in all of this, and he's supposed to be a mandatory for Joshua, and he might not decide to step aside and, you know, and enforce him, you know, enforce the mandatory against Joshua, and that would kind of upset the apple cart between, you know, for the Joshua Fury fight. So we're gonna see what happens. Now, in terms of Deontay Wilder getting back again, if that's what he decides to do, if he decides to come back later on, you know, late, you know, in 2021 or, you know, early 2022. I mean, there's a lot of good fights out there for him, you know, before he gets to fight for the title again, depending on who's holding the title. I mean, he can fight Dylan White, you know, there's Usyk, okay, there's Povetkin, there's Pulev. So there's a lot of good fights for Deontay Wilder. You know, if he decides to actually fight people in the top 10 instead of, you know, those tomato cans that he was fighting previously. Okay, so there's a lot of good fights in there to build him up for a third shot at the title if he decides that's what he wants to do. So that should be interesting. So yeah, so there's a lot of good fights on the horizon. If, you know, I'm hoping that Wilder actually doesn't retire. If, you know, that's what he's considering. I hope he wouldn't, because, you know, like I said, there's a lot of good fights out there for him still. And I would like to see them, you know, and see if he actually made any improvement in his boxing technique and, you know, skill, stamina, and so forth and so on. Because, like I said, Deontay Wilder, I can put punches together in combination, is a dangerous guy, and for anyone in the heavyweight division. And I think that Deontay Wilder can actually box, nobody will be able to beat him. But we don't know what's going to happen with Deontay Wilder. But eventually he has to come out sooner or later, out of hiding sooner or later, and let us know what's going to happen. You can't stay silent forever. So we'll find out, you know, one way or the other, what's going to happen with him. The WBC, Zombie Clown said the WBC president confirmed the trilogy was still on. Yeah, it's still on, but when is it going to happen? Doesn't look like it's going to happen this year, you know, and so we'll see what happens. You know, I hope it's still on. I mean, I would love to see the fight. Okay, so if the trilogy is still on, then, you know, great. But like I said, I don't see anybody promoting the trilogy. I don't see the promotion out there for it. We hear Fury saying that he got another fight coming up, and we don't hear nothing from Deontay Wilder or from Deontay Wilder's camp. So how could there be a fight still on and there's no promotion going on for the fight? I don't understand that, you know. So it is what it is. But I think that, you know, all you guys that was in here for this broadcast should, you know, subscribe and press the like button or the dislike button or whatever you want to press. But, you know, hit the bell icon as well, and, you know, tune in for the next episode of TBE Boxing. So at this point, I think we pretty much covered mostly everything concerning this Joshua Wilder and Tyson Fury, you know, supposed you know, trilogy between Fury and Wilder, and the upcoming fight between Joshua and Fury for 2021. So at this point, I think I'm going to leave it there. And until next time, this is TBE Boxing.